In case you don't know, and you haven't seen the latest polls, the American people hold the President of the United States in contempt. They hold this institution in contempt. They hold the Republican Party in contempt. They hold the Democratic Party in contempt.
Across this country, we've seen this new phenomenon lately, chanted at sporting events and on signs. The phrase is, "Let's go Brandon."
After his alleged meeting with the Burmese executives. So this Burmese, they say, pronounce it Burmese, a real beautiful company. 8 months after his... Everybody comes in your grandmother year. Everybody comes in your grandmother year. Father, your mother, everybody comes in your grandmother.
Honestly, Sam, if I could just get this sentence out. We can talk about Jimmy Dore can go and kill 15 kids tomorrow, and I still believe in force the vote.
That isn't what it meant.
Well, what did it mean then? Explain.
It meant that it's indicative of low resolution thinking.
And then they have cans of soup. And they throw the cans of soup. That's better than a brick because you can't throw a brick, it's too heavy. But a can of soup, you can really put some power into that, right? And then when they get caught, they say, no, this is soup from my family. They're so innocent. This is soup from my family. It's incredible. And you have people coming over with bags of soup, big bags of soup, and they lay it on the ground and the anarchists take it and they start throwing it at our cops, at our police. And if it hits you, that's worse than a brick because it's got force. Running against the worst candidate in the history of presidential politics puts pressure on me. Can you imagine if I lose my whole life? What am I going to do? I'm going to say, I lost to the worst candidate in the history of politics. I'm not going to feel so good. Maybe I'll have to leave the country. I don't know.
Early in the morning, they went to the table with the black robe, the black shield, and they pulled out the votes.
And by the way, you know, I sit on the stand and it get hot. I got hairy legs. I got hairy legs. Blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach. And the kids used to come up and reach. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down. The kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down. The kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down. The kids used to come up and reach in the pool. Used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down. Rub my leg down. My leg down again. They look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. About kids jumping on my lap. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
Oh, seriously, hot sauce. I've been eating a lot of hot sauce, a lot of raw peppers and hot sauce. Yep.
That isn't what it meant.
Well, what did it mean then? Explain.
It meant that it's indicative of low resolution thinking.
What's the most important issue in the governor's race here in Virginia?
I'm teaching them critical race theory.
And what is critical race theory?
Well, I'm not going to get into the specifics of it because I don't understand it that much. Because I don't understand it that much.
They felt pretty comfortable after day 2.
I don't wear masks like him. Every time you see him, he's got a mask. He could be speaking 200 feet away from it. He shows up with the biggest mask I've ever seen.
They weren't coming because they couldn't get in. Once they think they can get in, they're coming, and they are coming at levels that you haven't even seen yet. And he's like this, and we were, I need water, help me, I need water, help. And he's, this is on live television, and he's like this, and we were. They're coming all over the place. 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 They're coming all over. I need water. They're coming all over. Need water. They're coming all over the place. 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 The world is actually a small piece of the universe, right?
Only the really, I hate to say this, but those with the lowest IQ.
But I think the juxtaposition of that and the woman dancing in the shoe with the money flying at her, the juxtaposition of that versus some of the things that we've canceled recently, some of the things we have said are too dangerous to continue while we're talking about WAP, which stands for wet ass pussy, and she's got the bucket and the whole thing.
Force the vote, sure, was a failure. Is this thing on? Oh shit. Oh fuck. Is this thing on? Is it on? Does anyone know? Can someone identify the status of this live stream? Could someone identify the status? Is it identifiable? Is it an identifiable status? Wait, I found it. All right, folks, welcome to the show. I got a show here. How's it going? It is 10:07. So, yeah, so that's pretty cool. Yep, we're getting 1996 Republican nominee for president on the show. Can't wait. All right. No, it's not. What's not? It's not 10:07. Hold on. Then I guess the show shouldn't be on then. All right. My bad. I started early. All right. Bye bye, y'all. Just kidding. Troll, that's a classic troll. Classic troll. What are you gonna do? Alright, so we got a show here. We're gonna be doing a show. It's here. And, but first, we gotta get into the daily segment, of course. The one that always happens. Let me move this shit. This stupid ass shit. Imagine if it's 7 in the morning. That's a long time ago. I was asleep at 7 in the morning, so Jesus goddamn Christ. Jesus goddamn Christ. All right. What day is today? It's the 30th. All right. Yesterday was the 223rd continuous demonstration in the city of Elizabeth City, North Carolina, over the police shooting of Andrew Brown Jr. Again, folks, unsigned warrant. 7 motherfuckers with AR-15s. They knew ahead of time that he was unarmed, had no weapon, no danger about him, right? As soon as they shot him in the back of the head, their immediate goal was not to administer medical attention, but to instead start scurrying around immediately to pick up the bullets. When they shot and killed Andrew Brown Jr., they shot into a neighbor's kitchen. So imagine it's 8:30 in the morning, you're making some, I don't know, English muffins, and you get shot. Well, thankfully the neighbor wasn't there, but they could have been. They could have been killed. Who would have known? The sheriff deputies involved here in this shooting are very, very, very horrible, horrible people. Immediately after shooting Andrew Brown Jr., Deputy Daniel Meads decided to hide the amount of bullets in his magazine. But he's an idiot, and so he asked someone to shine a light on him, not realizing that they were recording on their body camera, and also hoping that this would probably be covered up, but, you know, whoops. And so he immediately lied to investigators about how many times he fired. But guess what? It's all good, because they painted Black Lives Matter on the street. That's right, folks. The city of Elizabeth City painted Black Lives Matter on the street, didn't pay the people who painted it properly, and that means everything's fine. But wait, even more! The Pasquotank County Sheriff's Department changed their name to the Peace Officers. How could you possibly be afraid of a peace officer? Right? So, but here's the thing. Here's the question I ask. And I ask this every day. If I'm working at, let's say I'm working at Wendy's, okay? And I decide, I just feel like killing someone. So they're going through the drive-thru, and then I just get a chainsaw, and I just slash their fucking head apart in the drive-thru, and they're dead now? Answer me this. What would happen? What's more likely to occur? A, me getting paid vacation, overtime, and a raise, or B, getting sent to fucking jail? Well, if you answered A, that means you're probably working in the Pasquotank County Sheriff's Department, where you can just kill someone, shoot into a neighbor's house in a school zone at 8:30 in the morning with an unsigned warrant, and you get paid vacation. You get a bunch of overtime, and you get a salary increase. But it's all good, because you're a peace officer now. What is this world where only certain careers you're allowed to murder people indiscriminately, and some you go to jail? That's strange. If I'm stocking the shelves at Food Lion, and I decide, I just want to explode some C4 or some shit, blow up the fucking chip aisle, kill 3 people, would I get paid vacation? I don't think so. I would probably, and rightfully, go to jail. But if you're a cop, you can do whatever the fuck you want, kill anyone you want, endanger anyone you want, and then that time next week, you'll be kicking up on the fucking coffee table watching some Netflix, collecting your government fucking welfare checks, because that's what that is. Again, how come people are getting fired during a pandemic and they can't collect unemployment, but you're a cop and you can kill someone and you can just get free money for months while you do nothing? What? Anyone? Does anyone know? It's fucked up, folks. So we've been out here for 223 days in a row, and we don't approve of that kind of stuff. But yeah, so. So we got Max the dog here, folks. Check this out. Maxie, come on over here, bud. We got Max the dog. Maxie. Oh, he's stretching. He's getting ready. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Look. Paws up. Paws up. Look at this. His paws are up, everyone. Oh. Oh. Look at this. Look at this creature. This beautiful fucking angel. Is anyone seeing this? Is this still being recorded? Is this still being recorded? I hope so, because this is some pretty good stuff. This is some pretty good stuff. Holy mackerel. Holy mackerel. Where's my mouse? It disappeared. Okay. All right. So I gotta get a guest in here. Just give me a sec. Oh my god, this dog. This is my fuzzy friend, folks. He's my fuzzy fucking friend. All right. Alright, hold the phone, folks. Oh, that dog's gonna go bye-bye. Look at that. The webcam has been deactivated. This is some live behind-the-scenes production. Oh, video background. What is that? Oh, Max is blurred. Oh, no. Discord added this, like, video background thing. Max is censored. I don't like that. Okay. Hello? Can you hear me?
Hey, what's going on?
Hey. All right, give me a sec. I gotta set this
Do I sound fine?
Sure.
All right.
I don't know yet. I gotta make sure that the audience, like, is it balanced? This is where the audience participation comes in. Oh, Max.
As long as I sound fine to you, I think I should probably sound fine.
Well, sometimes people are, like, super loud.
Oh.
You know, but I don't know if you're loud. All right, Maxie. I can't. Okay, hold up. Hold up. Okay. So how's it going? Is this working?
Hey.
Okay, it is working. All right. Hello, Max. Okay. All right. Oh my God. See, wow, that's my past self that did that, and now we get to reap the benefit. Oh, it looks like shit though. Anyway.
Do I need lighting? Here, there's some lighting if that helps.
Oh no. My layout looks like shit. You're good. All right, guest is a little louder. Well, what the hell? Okay.
People are never going to be happy. That's what I've learned.
That's why I have a dog. All right, so we got 1996 Republican nominee for president, David Doel here. What's up?
Right.
How's it going?
Good. Actually, my funny story. Not really a story, but my uncle's name is Bob, and his name is Bob Doel.
That's great. That's great. I'm sorry,
Turn
I'm
my
distracted
lighting
by
down
this
here.
dog. But anyway, so
There we go.
I got you on the show. What time is it? Where do you live? You live in Canada.
I
right?
live on the East Coast. Yeah,
Okay.
10:37 right now.
Okay, so
Oh,
we're
sorry,
the same
10,
time.
10,
zone. I just
17,
assume
10:37.
everyone. I assume everyone in Canada is in like another time zone because it's so far
The
away.
northern time zone.
Yeah, it's the north. I mean, they have that one where it's like they got the 30 minutes or whatever. I don't like that time zone. I don't.
Oh no, that's It gets confusing when you go more east. It gets a little confusing because there's like mountain time and shit. I don't even understand that.
Yeah, that should be banned.
I
as
know
far as
West
I'm-
Coast and I know Pacific time and Eastern time, and that's all I know.
How do you feel about time zones?
I mean, I understand them, but if we're talking about daylight savings time, I think it's stupid. I mean, the sun's going down at 4 p.m. now. It's very depressing.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think we should abolish all time zones. I think that there should be a universal time, and everyone should just remember what their times are. Like, you don't have. Why do you have to go to work at 9 a.m, right? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
That's true. Yeah. No.
Like, why you can go to
Yeah.
work at 17 in the evening. So I'm a time zone abolitionist.
I hadn't thought about that, but that's
Yeah.
actually not a horrible idea. I mean, it would take some time to relearn all that, but I guess that there'd be a big debate over who gets the usual time, like who gets to keep the 9 a.m. goes to work time, and who gets to.
Obviously East Coast. I mean, duh.
Well,
like everything should
That's the
revolve
problem.
around
we
us.
have a bias there, so yeah, that's not exactly. I mean, it should. It's New York City, the epicenter. Like that's kind of what
It's
it
the
should be.
epicenter, and you got Florida, people like that.
Well, yeah, we can't anger them too much.
This dog, I don't know if you can see this dog, but hold on. This
I
dog
see the top of the dog's head.
This dog is just laying on me right now, and I am enthralled. So I brought you on the show because we have a mutual interest that I wanted to pick your brain about. And because I saw you on the Kyle show. He does a show.
It was just the Kyle show that week. There was no Crystal that week.
Yeah, I don't know. Was
show.
It really? I don't remember. But it's the Kyle show. And I'm a little high right now. And so you were talking about your experiences with psychedelic drugs, and I thought you had some interesting things to say. So I asked you about that. Because I also have experiences with psychedelic drugs. So I feel like we could have a conversation about that, and that would be interesting. So would you like to go into like how you discovered that whole universe?
Sure. I mean, I guess you can kind of blame Joe Rogan. Honestly. This is back with, like, we're talking like 2013, 2014. I would listen to Joe Rogan's podcast on a regular, like, I'm not even joking, like every episode. Like, I would work out and I would put it on while I was working out, and I was kind of like a dude bro. I'm not really a dude bro, but in that sense, in terms of like Joe Rogan and working out, I was a dude bro.
Okay.
But
I mean, that's a very bad combination. It doesn't age well. If someone went in a time machine from like 10 years from now, they would see you and they would probably put the gun to your head. They wouldn't know any better.
Well, the show was very different back. It was back when like he had Cenk on, he had Anna Kasparian on. Like, it was actually a good show back in the day, before he went completely right wing and Spotify money. Mm-hmm. But so he would talk about that. There was a close friend of mine who also was aware of that world, and she talked about it as well. So that was kind of my entry point to that world, and it was really, for years I had struggled, as I discussed on Kyle's show, struggled with like severe social anxiety, and I still have. I mean, I'm not completely over it. Like, it's one of those things where it's gonna take I don't know, it's gonna take something else for me to get rid of my anxiety completely, but with that experience and slowly like basically forcing myself out into the world to get over my anxiety, I still wanted to try to do something to address it. So maybe like, I don't know, a year and a half or 2 years after I had started to begin learning about ayahuasca and psilocybin and all that, I decided to just jump right into it and go to Peru, saved up all my money, spent all the money I had.
How much did that cost? Like, if you don't mind?
It was like, I think it was like $2,000. Like, it's the flight and the whole experience and all that.
Yeah. That's not too bad.
No, it wasn't too. I mean, considering all my money at the time was pretty bad.
Well, yeah.
But like I felt like I needed to do something, right? So I decided to basically almost on a whim. I was working a job I really did not enjoy. I was working in an office doing marketing. It was very draining, very depressing. This was kind of like my week to kind of go away and figure out if I wanted to stay at that job, if I wanted to do something else, if I wanted to, or also with the intention of helping with my anxiety, my depression. So I had that experience, and I'll be honest, like there are details that I definitely forget, which is why I recorded. There's a 40-minute video on YouTube.
Whoa.
That was shot a few months after my experience of me discussing like in detail my experience, because honestly I forget if I even had it 3 or 4. It was either 3 or 4 times, but I don't remember exactly if I drank ayahuasca 3 or 4 times. But I mean, it's so like I don't even know where to. In terms
you were
of details,
in like one
I'm
of
not
those
sure
like social like setting kind of things, like when you're around a bunch of people.
You're in a I think it's called a maloca, where it's like a big wooden tent almost, like a big round circle.
Right, as opposed to a non-round circle.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, see, now that's interesting because, like, I couldn't imagine doing that kind of thing, like, with a bunch of people around that I don't know. Like, I feel like that would set me into, like, the gone zone. I would be gone for at least 16 centuries if that were to happen. Like, most of my experience is, like, alone. Yeah. Like, so have you had, like, alone experiences as well? And like, do you want to like delineate between like the differences and stuff?
With psilocybin, I have. It's a very different. I mean, it's a different experience. So
sure.
I think the group experience. because everyone else is going through their own shit, you're still in your own world. Like, even though I had, social anxiety, I wasn't anxious in that setting, simply because nobody else cares about what you're doing. They're all in their own, their own kind of little world and dealing with their own problems.
Sure.
So, and then you have like a shaman that's guiding it, and he has other helpers that go around.
Now that part seems cool. I would love to be like forgetting where I am, and then all of a sudden I see a shaman out of the corner of my eye. That does seem pretty good.
Well, yeah, a part of the experience is like they sing songs, right? Like there's these these like, I don't know how to describe them, but these songs that they sing throughout the experience. And when you focus on them and you zone in on them, it really like it elevates the experience, and you begin to,
they probably like tailor make them for that like kind of
point. And actually
yeah.
Also during, it's like a 6-hour 8-hour experience. It starts about like 8 p.m. It goes all night till about 3-4 p.m. or 3-4 a.m. And so during the experience they have people going around, like helpers that are not high, that are checking on each person to see how they're doing. And also each person gets their own song. So like each person has a turn going up in front of the shaman, and you sit down in front of the shaman while you're on ayahuasca. I mean, most people still, like, when you're on it, you can still walk around, you still have your motor skills. But the real experience is when you close your eyes and you're laying down and you're focusing, and then some people get visuals. I didn't actually get a lot of visuals. For me, it was mostly a feeling, like feelings that were coming up and thoughts that were happening.
Sure.
But while he's singing, like the first couple times I didn't really feel anything from those songs. But then like the fourth experience, the third or fourth experience, I don't know what it was, but I just began like crying. And like a lot of people have this experience where when they're being sung to, it's like a very deeply emotional experience, and they're kind of releasing all of this negativity, this negative energy. And I had that on the third or fourth experience, and it was insanely powerful. And it's one of these things where if you told me about this, I don't know, 10 years ago, before I had any introduction to any of this, I would have thought you were, crazy to think that this would have any profound impact on you. But it really did. Like it, after that week there, I was like a different person. I was, all my stress went away. My depression completely went away. I wasn't depressed at all anymore, which was the one thing I really didn't even expect. Like I wasn't even sure if I was really aware of how depressed I was until that experience and the next week where I felt amazing. So that was completely lifted away. Anxiety, it definitely helped with anxiety, though I know I still had it. Like it's, again, it's hard to kind of get that out of my life.
Sure.
But just having that experience, really, it cleared my head. It actually allowed me to stay in my job a few months longer, which was good, because then in November of that year, like 4 or 5 months later, I got laid off. So I was able to apply for EI and still, be able to have
so
some
you wouldn't
money
have just
going.
quit and then you would have been screwed.
Exactly. So it kept me going. And then after that, I started my own video production business, just doing freelance stuff. And then a year after that experience, I decided to run as a Green Party candidate for like the election that was going on.
I see you still have a lot of the Green Party memorabilia in the background.
Yes, big Green Party stuff right here. And after that, it was like once that election happened, I wanted to continue like discussing these political issues and informing people. No, I mean I went into it not even close. I went into it knowing I was not actually I got 1,420 votes. Which was not bad.
That's not bad. Yeah, that's
considering
not bad.
The other candidate, the NDP candidate, only got like double what I got, and she did a lot more work than I did. But it was one of those things where I knew I wasn't going to win, but I did it because I wanted to,
Yeah, you want the experience.
Yeah, I wanted the experience. I wanted to begin getting in. Like Bernie Sanders was just coming up at that time, at least in terms of the primary, and and he was a big inspiration for me as well to jump into that. And, going from having the severe social anxiety to then running for a political seat and doing debates and all that shit and going door to door, like it's amazing to me when I look back and think about how far I came. Because
oh yeah, I mean, like before that experience, you were just like an autopilot. You're a zombie. You're walking through life.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going on. And then after that experience, you just realize, whoa, buddy, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, Yeah, and it opens you up to just experiencing life more. Like, I mean, one of the biggest issues for me before all this was just being very closed-minded, being very apprehensive about new experiences and new things, and I mean, a part of that was the social anxiety, and me being able to get over that through other ways as well by moving away and going to college, and that helped a lot. But having that that psychedelic experience really, I don't know, it helps evolve you in a weird way where you're more open-minded, you're more empathetic, even though I think I always had empathy, but it does make you connect to people a little more than I had in the past, and I was more open to those experiences. And yeah, since then, I've done psilocybin several times, and I had an experience with that a week before a debate, my first debate during that election, because I was super anxious about being in a debate and
sure.
talking to
I
all
mean,
these
that
people.
could be scary. Yeah.
Yeah, very scary. Scary for a normal person, let alone like someone with severe social anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
But so I had that psilocybin experience helped me get through that as well. And then, yeah, I don't know. It's something that like, I don't want to seem like I'm a promoter of this. These are my experiences. This is, this benefited me. I'm not saying it's right for everybody, but it's definitely, I think, a tool that at the very least doctors should have when being able to, when addressing people's issues, especially when it comes to depression, anxiety. Like, these are things that you can help to, in some cases, completely solve in just a few sessions in a guided session with a professional. And for them to not have the ability to use those substances to help people, it really is a travesty, because there's so many people, especially those who are just, I don't know, just closed off from the world. And actually, it can help in so many ways, whether it's, depression, anxiety, of course, but also I feel like if you're, ultra conservative or like a libertarian and you just care about yourself,
now
you have an experience like that, and it can open you up.
But also, I was looking into that very subject about libertarians and psychedelics recently, and it turns out that a lot of people that are maybe not very convicted in their political beliefs would maybe become more left-wing or something. But there's this weird strain where you have I think the founder of 8chan is someone who uses acid almost every day or something, right? So you
abuse it.
Well, yeah, but you see that there's these people that are really into psychedelics that are also pretty fucked up as well. My thing with this whole thing is that it really does depend on the cliche is where you're at in your headspace and where you're at physically, for sure. Because I've had some pretty rough experiences that are horrifying, just because I had bad news delivered to me 3 weeks ago, right? But I hadn't fully processed it, and then it's you start thinking about things and it's wait a second, the whole world's falling apart, right? So this is something that really should be taken seriously when you
for sure.
And that's the problem with it being
is
illegal.
a massive piece of it.
When things like that are illegal, that information is not easily attainable. People don't know these things. They end up having really bad experiences. They don't know about ways to calm down during a bad experience. So they don't know about they don't have anything ready. Something that I like to have is just to have something ready so that if I need something to calm down, I can just click a button somewhere, music queued up or whatever. Just so if something's bad, it's one click away, right? So there's a lot of tips, but no one knows that. No one has, and that's one of the problems with these things being illegal. Because in my experience, I've also had very, very bad anxiety and stuff, and I experienced mushrooms this year. At the very first month of the year, I experienced mushrooms for the first time, and I've dabbled in them a lot over the course of the year. When we had these protests in my city, the first couple weeks, I was doing some experimentation. I probably shouldn't have, but I did anyway. But anyway, and so I also feel like I am a completely different person. I feel like the protest experience for me this year I feel like wouldn't have been really possible if I had not had these experiences prior. Because like there's like really fast paced, like dangerous situations with like a lot of people involved, right? There's a lot going on, and it's like, if you'd have talked to me like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, like, or like a year ago even, I wouldn't have been able to handle that, right? I wouldn't have been, you're telling me I'm going to like run from cops and like, you know, try to like not get killed. Like, I'm sorry. I wouldn't have been able to do that. And so like, it kind of like breaks down a lot of these, like, cause I feel like in society, like as we are right now in this late stage capitalism, we're all like grown and like bred to be isolated. Right? Like we're all like against each other. Everything's hyper competitive. So like that, like you can't develop that much of a good relationship with people because like, you know, like what if they're your coworker? Well, what if there's a promotion and I need to win? Or, you know, everyone's like scared of each other. And I feel like stuff like this, is really interesting, especially when you look at the criminalization of it in the first place. In the 60s and 70s, it was like mostly because like people were like saying, hey, like, you know, there's this big campaign to like drop out of school and do psychedelics all day and like you'll learn more about the universe, which, hey, that might be true. You know, we should have researched that instead of banning it because school as it is pretty trash. But anyway, that's, you know, but you know, like it started getting, you know, in a point where like the government thought it was out of control and these people were like having these mass like anti-government experiences, right? Like you take a drug and you realize, wait a second, money isn't real, right? There's no such thing as the government. These are just people that are playing characters on television, but we all just agree to be in the same television studio, right? Like when you really realize that we're all just humans and we're all just like dumb animals walking around, right? It has this like anti-hierarchical experience. And like, you know, that's one of the things that I think is super interesting about like, because it's also like abusing these drugs is really difficult as well. Because like if you have a bad experience, you know, like I've had a bad experience and I don't touch it for like 3 months. I'm like, all right, I'm going to cool off for a bit. Well, you know, 3 months as if that's a long time, but you know, you know, I like to have fun. But anyway,
well, it's weird that like people try and like, they're worried about like being addicted or something. Like I don't know. I've never thought psychedelics were addictive. Like they're not addictive at all to me. Sure. Like you have an experience, you don't want to have another one. At least for me, for you know months, if not years.
Sure.
So like ayahuasca, I have no desire to ever do it again. Psilocybin, you know, it for me, it's all about the right setting and intention and the right people around you, if anyone's around you at all. Like if it's your first time, I think you should definitely have someone around you who's sober and make sure you're doing it somewhere where it's decriminalized. I don't want you getting, you know, arrested, but
yeah, do not get arrested, folks. That's not worth it.
No.
Could you imagine like waking up from a trip and you're in the back of a squad car? No. Don't do it. It's not worth it.
There can't be a worse experience than that. That's the thing as well. Like I would never in my life do any of this stuff in public. Like it has to be like in the comfort of my own home.
Sure, absolutely.
I'm very comfortable that I know I can be there for 6 hours, be undisturbed by the outside world except for whoever's with me. And like I think it's very important to go in your experience with that, and also with the right intention. Like if you really want, you know, to get work done, as in like you improve your life, you have to go into it with that intention. Otherwise,
yeah, and one thing I do is I just have like a pen and paper. Right? And
yeah, I
like,
do that too.
Yeah, and you write for what feels like 16 years and then you read it afterward and it's like, wow, you know, there's like 2 pages and I can't understand what I was, but like when you're in that experience, like it helps you unpack things and it's like,
yes,
you know, it can be, like it can be fun, maybe like in like just recreational senses, but it's also like something that's just like a personal development tool, right? And it's like also back on the addiction thing. I mean, like I'm drinking coffee right now. I drink this every single day of my life, right? So there are a lot of things that are addictive that are out there that are like more damaging to your body, more addictive than are fully legal. And so like that's why I never really get like people saying like, oh, you're gonna get addicted to drugs or whatever. I mean, this is the least addictive drug I've ever tried.
It's not addictive at all. Like it's not at all. That said, that doesn't mean you should just do it. Like if you, like, I think you know, unless you have a real desire. Like when I was talking to Kyle, he said he doesn't feel like he needs it, but you know, should he take it? I'm like, no. Like if you don't feel like you need to do it, then why? What's the point? Like, but that said, like if you do feel a desire, you know, it's all about intention, all about environment, all about the right people around you, and going into it with the intention, or the right intention, in terms of, what you want to accomplish, be it opening your mind, be it, a lot of it, it's really about what it really gave me was sort of an out of body experience, in the sense where you could look at your life from a third person perspective, as opposed to being, you and thinking about things the way you normally do. Like it really gives you an outsider perspective on your life, and which can help to assess, what aspects of your life should change or what you should improve. And I think that's a huge benefit. And you see that, I mean, how many more studies do we need to do before this stuff is like fully legal and regulated?
Absolutely. I mean, there was a study that came out that said like it enlarges like connections between like parts of your brain or something, right? And so it's like it makes it so like, like I've thought of things like, I've got like a lot of childhood trauma in my life, right? And so like while I've been on these drugs, I've like remembered certain aspects of like, things that would be traumatic, but I'm able to like separate the trauma from it. And like that's just like a super liberating kind of feeling, and it's like it lets you kind of reset associations with things. So it's like, like a lot of people, like there was these studies done in the 50s, 60s, and got cut off in the 70s about alcoholism and people that were given LSD to try to overcome alcoholism or cigarette smoking. And it found that 40%, I believe, of people that had like one like full length like psilocybin or mushroom or acid experience, like 40% of them just never touched alcohol again, because they went into that experience thinking, I really need to quit this, but I'm addicted and I don't know what else to do. And because they've really like wanted to quit, they were able to like disassociate alcohol from like every aspect of their life during that experience, right? Because it like just resets the way your brain thinks of things. And that does create these like out of body experiences where it's like you feel like you're just an observer looking at the life that like you just happen to be involved in with the consciousness, right? Whenever I'm on like if I'm just thinking about the universe or whatever, like I think about these really bizarre, like, it feels like kind of you go into like another dimension of experience. Like, have you ever been like so in deep that you feel like there's no earthly attachment anywhere whatsoever? Like you're just in a completely different universe? Like ego death.
I've never. Yeah, I've been very careful with how much I've taken because I don't want that experience.
Okay.
I'm a little afraid of like, I don't know. That's the one thing I'm afraid of. Which is still not, it's not a rational fear because this doesn't really happen to people, but the fear of like going somewhere mentally and never coming back, like that's still sort of in the back of my head when I have these experiences, even though it's never happened to me and it's not really a thing that usually happens. But so I'm always very careful with like I've never taken like a hero dose of like psilocybin or but I mean, like even like my ayahuasca experience, I expected to have that experience. Like I went in there with thinking that I'm going to be like, out in outer space somewhere. And I never really had that. Like I never really had a visual experience or an experience that was so encompassing like that. Like when I was in that experience, all I had to do was really open my eyes and I was out of wherever I was in. It's still, walking around is obviously a little tougher than usual, but
right.
For the most part, once you open your eyes, you're not really in it. But yeah, so, I'm not sure if I ever want an experience like that, but I can see how, people talk about they experience what death feels like. And I guess I assume that.
Yeah, that was,
like.
I can weigh in on that one because my first experience, I like didn't eat that morning. Right. And that has like a huge impact on like how the dosage hits you for mushrooms. Right.
Yeah.
Like, if you ate that day or like in the last like 12 hours, that can like speed things up, slow things down tremendously. So my first experience, I took maybe a little too much, right? Because it was my first experience, and I wanted to go big, and I didn't eat that morning or whatever. And so I definitely experienced the feeling of dying. And the thing about that was incredible for me is that like, it felt like I was in that universe for like, centuries. Like all sense of time just dissipates, right? And I'm just in my brain for centuries. And it's like I had like all these flashbacks like throughout my whole life. I was like remembering random bits of my life and how I got here. And even I was so deep in that experience that like, like people in my family would come check on me. I was in the living room and I like my eyes would be fully open, right? But I would just be like mumbling on the couch, like I'm like, and so like, but I was not in the world at all, right? And so like, and I remember the thing about it that was so incredible for me is I remember like realizing during this experience that I was dying. Like I somehow managed to convince myself that like somewhere I died, you know, like, or like maybe I slipped down the stairs. Like I was thinking of all these scenarios, right? Because I'm an anxious person, right? And so I'm start thinking, okay, so what's going on here? I am clearly, this is, you know, because this is a brand new experience for me in general. So I'm thinking, oh, so I must be dying. Something happened to me. I fell down the stairs, broke my neck. I'm dead. And so this is what like dying is like. And I remember feeling when I realized that I was dying, I remember like feeling my physical body like dissipate, you know, like it was so incredible. And it's, you know, it's bizarre to even like most people that haven't done these drugs have no idea what I'm talking about. Right.
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to have this conversation with you. Cause you've at least had that experience and you know what's going on. But I remember my body like just disappearing. Right? Like, and I was not, like, I couldn't see anything. I was just, like, kind of thoughts in, like, a rotation of, like, oh, I guess I'm dead now. I guess, all right, I'm fine with that. And I realized it's, I feel like I'm moments before dying, right? I'm like, oh, I'm okay with it. It's like, all right, I'm dead. I understand. Yeah. And then I wake up, right? And when I woke up, I thought the whole thing was a dream. Right? Because I don't know if you do this or have experience or know what it is, but I also do lucid dreaming stuff. And there's like a really big overlap between like psychedelics and lucid dreaming because like I've done lucid dreams where it's like I can kind of self-generate what would feel like a psychedelic experience like in a dream and then like kind of interact with it. Right? And so like for me, like when I woke up from that, I was like, I thought I was dreaming the whole time. Right, I didn't remember where I was because I was still like coming out of it, but like I was back in the world, but like I was not all the way there yet. And so I remember waking up. I had like I figured it was like years ago. I had no concept of like where in time I was like, and I remember waking up and I was like, how did I get here? And then like, you know, it was incredible. And it was like, you know, that feeling of like letting go. And it's like, you're okay with dying. It feels like everything else is extra. Like this is just bonus. Like I'm just, you know, this is like the add-on, the pre-order bonus or whatever, you know, I'm just,
and that's why there's been studies with cancer patients who are near death and they've given them like these large doses of psychedelics and it helps them come to terms with death. Like you can look this up.
Absolutely.
Like,
yeah.
People listen to this. Like there's been studies where people just they're given these massive doses and they feel they're all of a sudden fine. They're no longer anxious. They're okay with dying. They understand they're going to die, but they're no longer like scared of it. And yeah, it helps a lot of people with that fear. Like if you have that kind of dose. But I mean, I also, you know, the conservative in me also wants to make sure people understand that there have been certain people that can be triggered by these experiences. Like if, say, you know, schizophrenia runs in your family.
Oh, absolutely.
There are people that have had, you know, this experience kind of trigger them. Then again, you know, a lot of experiences can trigger that schizophrenia if it's in you, but it's important to be aware of that stuff. So, you know, I just want people to be careful with this.
Yeah, I mean, like when you do take a hallucinogenic substance, right? Like, you know, like in a medical area, you might be like on a couch or something, you're in a calm setting, but if you just do it at home and you don't really know what's going on, like you do experience psychosis, right? Like that's the whole point of the substance is that it makes you experience things that aren't real, right? So like in my experience, my first time, right? Like this is, you know, such a multifaceted experience. I didn't, you know, I had some info, like I wasn't like completely going at it randomly. I knew what things I shouldn't do and all that, right? And all that. So and I didn't leave the house, right? I told everyone in my family, like I'm doing drugs, you know, watch out for me if I'm a little weird. But even then, like just the idea of like walking around my house was just like, there was a point where I was like, wait a second, what room am I in? Am I even in a room? What is the difference between thinking I'm in the living room versus being in my bedroom with my eyes closed thinking about being in the living room and actually being there, right? And then I just lost touch with reality, and that's what like kind of sent me into this weird like gone zone, I like to call it. But so, and I just So like, but if I were someone that had like that history of like schizophrenia or something, I could see how that experience could like set you off, like, and even like, you know, or like awaken like some, like, I don't know, like it's such a unique kind of experience that I've only had a couple times. Like, I try not to do super big doses all the time, but like when you have that kind of realization that like what you're seeing and experiencing and hearing just isn't real, you know, like that's just like it, you know, like sometimes I think about it just like generally walking around. I'm like, you know, what if I'm like not actually here right now and I'm just thinking I'm here, you know, sometimes, but you know, when I'm not on drugs, I'm just, you know, just enjoying kind of a nice walk thinking about the universe. Right. But like, you know, it's a way that you it's like a new experience. You can see the rest of the world through that kind of like lens. And I feel like it's super interesting. I feel like it's something that, you know, again, should be an option in society. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And yeah, it's just, I mean, there's so much research, so much data, so many studies on this now that it's clear it helps a lot of people. I have a question though. Do you think it's all in our heads, or do you think that we're sort of tapping into like, I don't know, the energy that is the universe, and we're kind of...
Oh, we're getting deep. Okay.
Yeah, that we're becoming more aware of that energy, because look, I have my own beliefs. I don't talk about this very often because I think people get weird about this stuff. Especially
I love this shit. I love big brain talk. Let's go. High level ideas.
I honestly don't think it's just like in our heads. I think we like, and it's not that it's like this is religious or even spiritual or whatever, but it's reality. We know what the world is made of, you know, matter, and like it's science, it's data. All of what I believe is based in that, but we're just accessing it in a way that we haven't accessed it before. And I think, you know, there are certain animals and, you know, bugs and stuff that can see or smell things that we can't. It's almost like that, where we're just having a different experience than our usual experience, because we are sort of disembodied from our meat body that only has, you know, limited senses.
Sure.
We are sort of outside of that, experiencing this energy that is around us, that we are in, that we are a part of.
That's why level. I like to, like, I've had like I sometimes, you know, if I'm doing you know, a psychedelic with like someone, like a friend or family or whatever, and we're just sitting around and talking, I love to have these conversations, right? And this is why I like to think of like, you know, when you do a psychedelic experience, like you kind of enter a different dimension, right? It's like, I like to like liken it to like you experience the world in a different way. Like it's the same world, right? But like, this is another thing is like that I've been really fascinated by as well, is that like the whole world, like even like if I'm assuming you're sober, I'm you know, I smoked a little weed, but you know, but like the whole world as all of us see it is just like we're all hallucinating, but like we have a really good hallucination, because that's what, like, because the world exists and then we're organisms that have like sensory things, but like obviously our sensory things look right to us because we're part of that organism, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, you know, the whole world is just, you know, like who's to say that your background's really green? Who's to say what green even is, right? And so we just
all agreed upon this certain world that's around us,
and we all like experience it in that way. We all have that shared human experience, right? And that's what I feel like psychedelics kind of like open you up to, that kind of like, you know, the human experience is the human experience. It's a unique experience, but it's not real. Like it, like, I mean, like, yes, I'm really in a room in a house. Like I call it my bedroom. Right. But it's like, you know, if I die tomorrow, it's not my bedroom anymore. Right. There's no real thing that really exists that makes this my bedroom. And the same thing with money. Right. Like what is like, I can, you know, like money. What the fuck is money? You know, like, and that's the same thing with a lot of things is like, you know, once you just realize that all the rest of the things besides like the basic things are just made up. Right. But society like ingrains it in us. That it's like we have to experience the world in this way, and it's like we have to like think of things in this way, and these are the normals, and like these kind of experiences really just like break you out of those habits, and you just realize that like there's so much out there that we are just so biased in favor of humans, like we can't see it normally.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like there is like there is all this energy around us at all times, and there's certain ways that we can access this energy, and usually it's just not there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think your description of the different dimensions is a good way to put it, because my understanding is that I'm not sure if it's confirmed scientifically, but there's like theories that there's different dimensions, and
absolutely,
I'm sure if these experiences if that does exist, may be a part of it. And again, all of this is based in, there's so much that we don't know scientifically about the world, about the universe, that it's not out of the question to think that these experiences are more than just in our minds. Especially because of how profound they are, like the kinds of things they can, it digs up in within yourself when you're having these experiences, the things that you think about, like old memories and that kind of stuff, and just the revelations you come upon. Like, these are the kinds of experiences where you wouldn't be able to experience that any other way if it weren't for having that substance there. And then again, people have discussed meditation and yoga, and they're able to, like, doing enough of that intensely enough, they're able to have a similar sort of psychedelic experience.
Yeah, like I was mentioning,
meditation.
I did like lucid dream practices in 2020, and that was before I tried psychedelics. And I've been able to like create these kind of fascinating experiences in my head, because what I would do is I would meditate for like 15 minutes and then go to sleep with like that meditation brain, right? And then, and so like, but like it's not the same. Like, I'm telling you, like I tried, like, I only did it for like 8 months, and I was at it like, usually every single day, and I know that there's people that do it for like decades. They're meditation masters, right? So I'm not trying to say that I mastered meditation or anything, but I mean, like, it is a completely different story. I mean, it really is. But then also, like, I want to present to you another fascinating big brain theory. So it's like, okay, so on the subject of like, accessing other experiences and like the universe, and there's so much we don't understand. How convenient is it, right, that the human brain has these chemical like receptors, right? And then that there's just this mysterious thing that grows that's always been there. It's been there longer than humans have. It's been there like around the same times as like the concept of the brain has, that just happens to have something that fits into that receptor perfectly to unlock such a mystical experience. I mean, I personally consider that pretty convenient, right? Like that, like if you're writing like an anime or something, and and you try to explain away all the details in like the final few chapters, and sometimes it feels ham-fisted. I mean, that's, it grows out of the ground, it plugs right into your brain, and then you access these things. And there's been like, I don't know how much you go into the history of this, but like a lot of indigenous populations would have like a lot of rituals around the mushroom and other substances, like that's the thing with the mushroom versus like ayahuasca and other things, is like those are like you need to like brew ayahuasca, right? Like you need to create it from something else. But with the mushroom, you could just pick it out of the ground and you're good to go. So there's like,
But even like the brewing aspect of ayahuasca, I found so fascinating. So when we were down there, we were, sort of given that whole, like a bit of the history around it, and, how the indigenous people, found these plants and somehow discovered that if you boil this certain root with this certain thing, that it creates this brew. Like, first of all, how do you think that up? Like,
right, exactly.
But in their stories, they're told that the plants told us to do this. Like, they told us how to. So it's. I mean, they were having these rituals for like thousands of years.
Exactly.
Before us. And so they have this deep knowledge that, unfortunately in the Western world, we've been very ignorant of, and or dismissive of, I should say. Like, we're talking about these like these rituals passing down from generation to a generation. We should be wanting to tap into that and understand that and talk more about that. But we sort of cast it aside as like, oh, those are, that's the old way of thinking. They're these old cultures, whatever. But no, we should be tapping into what these people have been discussing and doing for hundreds of years.
I mean,
I don't know why we are so, adverse to wanting to engage with that. It's like, it's this weird, I don't know, not a fear, but it's just this ignorance, this dismissive nature that we have.
I would go a little bit further and say that I feel like these experiences have been integral to the evolution of humans. Like I feel like it's something that, like, again, it, not to say that everyone should, like, and I'm not saying that at all, but it's like, if it's very interesting that, like, we have these societies, like especially in the West, where it's so atomized. Everyone hates each other. It's hyper competitive, right? No, like even just like, you know, like the idea that like someone could walk on the street and like view, like try to, oh, don't look at the homeless people, like pretend they're not there, you know, like the way that, like imagine, like, and imagine, right? Like there is someone suffering right next to you and you just try to pretend they're not real. Because, like, I mean, and that could be in and of itself self-preservation because you don't have the resources to help that person, right? So we're all feeling in these ways to, like, be against each other. And it's interesting that we are in the societies that haven't been doing these, you know, ancient rituals that I feel like are integral to the human evolution. Because when you look at, like, the history of you know, psychedelic mushrooms, they have always been here as long as humans have been here, right? And like, you know, there's, you know, they're in cave paintings from tens of thousands and thousands of years ago. Like, it's pretty clear that humans have been using these substances for a long time, right? Like, and they've been like integral, and I think on how like humans evolved and how like, you know, some people, and again, this is big brain, like there's no way to really know if this is true or not. Some people say that like, you know, the hyper evolution of the human brain versus other like, you know, species of primates is partially possibly related to you know, certain things that could be including having access to these psychedelic experiences, right? We see that also, like, if you take it in moderate doses, it just improves your vision. Like, you just have better vision. Like, you know, like that moment.
I noticed that as well.
Yeah, like where the whole world is super, like I have, you know, glasses. My vision's fucked up.
Like a more vibrant world.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But like, I remember sometimes I take my glasses off and I can see, not as good as when I have my glasses on, but like I can see like decently well compared to normal without my glasses on. So like, it's also possible that these are integral experiences into human survival. Now, again, there's no way to know that. That kind of stuff. Yeah. But I mean, like, it's really fun to think about when you do drugs. It's just like, how did we get here? Because then also you think about like the continuous chains of like, you know, DNA and stuff, and how we're all like, everything on Earth is connected in that sense. And again, I don't think in our lifetimes we'll ever really know like how deep that connection goes. I also don't know if it's even possible to qualify how deep that connection goes. You know, like, you know, it's so interesting that the Earth is made up of all these living beings. And it's like, I feel like the world can be like more connected in a way that humans are just trying to run away from. Like we're like, somehow absolutely. We've managed, like we've lost our way. We're destroying the planet. We're like causing a sixth like massive extinction. Like one of the extinctions was when an asteroid created like a lava field that destroyed the whole world. We're on par with that right now. Like that's how bad things are. And so I don't know, man. I personally feel like the fun thing to think about, like, what if Joe Biden did shrooms or ayahuasca or whatever? Like, how would that change the world? You know, like, what if all the world leaders, instead of going into the COP26 talking about, okay, how are we going to lie to everyone else? What if they all just went to, like, Peru or whatever, you know? Yeah. Like, I feel like it would have a profound impact on the world.
I think it would absolutely have a positive impact. I'm not saying, you know, all the problems in the world would be, you know, solved, but it would definitely improve like the way they think about these issues. It would allow at least some of them to be more empathetic and connected to real world problems and you know, poverty and having that as a focus to solve, and of course the climate crisis a focus to solve. Like they become world leaders have become so disconnected, and it's like it's almost like you have to be. It's a requirement for you to be somebody who is, you know, an individual who's focused on yourself for you to be able to succeed in politics. Because
when you make decisions that have people die, like, you know, making this decision will kill X amount of people, and you do it anyway, right? When you know, you know, like Joe Biden might believe in like the deficit or whatever, but I mean, if he did shrooms, he would realize money is all fake and you can just save these people and print the money and worry about it. Like, you know, but like, you know, when you are able to make a decision that involves people dying and you know that they're dying, right? And you know that you can do something to stop them from dying and you choose not to, it's like a self-selection, you know, like, I wouldn't be able to make that decision. I would save the people. I would be like, all right, do whatever it needs to be done. We're saving these motherfuckers, right? But like, and that's why I'm probably never going to be the president, you know? And so it's like, I feel like there's like in order to get to that position, like the way we have elections, like how do you win an election? Well, you have to like look at the Republican Party, right? Like they just like, they try to craft and cultivate their electorate like specifically to them and specifically to get 51% and all that stuff. And like they cheat if they can't get there, right? They view people as just like, you know, objects. It's like, you know, how to get your dog to like, you know, listen to like commands or whatever. That's how they view people, you know, and that's like, I feel like the people that win elections are the best at, you know, sociopaths. Like I feel like it's a self-selection for that. And so it's like you always have these areas where world leaders are, in order to be a world leader, you need to be disconnected. You need to like be able to make these decisions to say like, all right, these people are going to die. These people are going to die. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Right. And in order to even get there, you need to like just write off whole, you know, you need to like, I don't know, like the only politician I've ever seen ever that's not been like that is Bernie Sanders. Right. Yeah. And so like, and that, you know, one out of thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of these motherfuckers, right?
Yeah.
You know,
and then he's viewed as like this crazy guy, like
right.
oh he actually wants to help people.
I think Bernie's done. I think
inflation?
Bernie's done some like, good stuff in the '60s. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking he experimented with all this stuff when it was still cool, and I'm thinking he's holding on to those because like there's this as you pointed out this weird like I don't know debate of should we help people who have no homes and are dying on the street versus what might happen with inflation? What about the debt? Like how about we help the people first, and then if there's any problems, then we'll deal with those problems. But like how is the focus? And this is what also what maybe psychedelics helps with is it makes you realize how fucking stupid these debates are. Why not help? Like the focus should always be let's make sure people aren't dying. Let's make sure people are okay. Let's make sure people have food. People can live. People can, you know, do what they want with their lives in terms of, you know, their creative output, what they can achieve. How about that should be the focus at all times. And then anything else that comes after it or anything we have to deal with in terms of the economy or debt or inflation, we can deal with that if that becomes a problem or if there's a problem with that. Mm-hmm. But the focus should be help the people first and then we'll deal with the shit later. But that isn't the focus. It's so... This is what frustrates me, and this is why this shit has honestly become very depressing, very tough to do. I've been doing this now for like 5 years, and just like news stuff.
Yeah, like the daily news stuff, like politics. It's just like it's getting to the point now where you know, almost every day I'm thinking, is this worth it? Like, what am I doing? Like, am I helping anybody? Am I informing? Is anybody being
I feel that
it gets
too.
So frustrating.
That's why, like, a lot of the times I just like break format and just like talk about stupid bullshit on my show. It's like, all right, fuck the news, mass shooting, kids dying, bridges collapsing. Yeah. Let's just do like a comedy set for an hour. Let's like try to chill out, right? But like, you know, like the world does suck, and it really does feel like, you know, it's been crafted to suck, right? Like the people in charge of the world, like the people that have all the money, the people that have all the power, they are constructing the world to be like, you know, as ridiculous, like they have the enough power, resources, money, and again, that a level of sociopathy where they feel like they're just constructing the world around us. Like, and it like we feel powerless. We have no power. Mm-hmm. You know, like it's how are we going to go up against Bill Gates when it comes to vaccinating the whole world? He's got all the power. We have no power. Like, and we just have to deal with the consequences. I always think about this when it comes to the pandemic, and like again, like I really got into like, you know, lucid dreaming, meditation, and like that kind of like spiritual-ish self-improvement kind of stuff during the lockdown and stuff when that first started, right? And then that kind of branched into me trying psychedelics this year, right? But like when the pandemic started, I remember thinking like all we have to do is have like a 2-month lockdown, right? Like give everyone food in the mail. Like, you know, we have like, yes, essential workers, but why have grocery stores, right? Think about it. The mail exists. Like that's the only thing we need is people like processing goods and then people delivering them. Why are we getting in these gas guzzling machines? Like it's so inefficient. It's just inefficient. So we could have done like a 2 to 3 month lockdown. None of this would be happening, right? Like none of this would be happening. But like, yet we're in this world where like, you know, look at Joe Biden. He's not doing anything. Like, I mean, I feel like, you know, like he said yesterday that there will be no lockdowns. What? Like, but because the economy, the inflation, the supply chain. But it's like, we can fix all of that. Like, the mail system exists. It's not like we have to invent zip codes for the first time. Like, how are we gonna figure out where people live? You know, like, we have zip codes. Like, we already thought about every aspect of this, but it's just, for whatever reason, the people with the money and the power and all that, they've just decided, I would rather have millions of people die and everyone else to be like suffering and depressed, because if somehow we did the world in the right way to solve the pandemic, I would make less money, right? Yeah. And then when you think about like just how much money these motherfuckers have made in this pandemic, right? Like, it's that sociopathy. They're just killing people for money and I don't know, man. I don't drive. I'm getting a little off topic here. I've never driven a car in my life, so I feel like whenever I'm walking around and I see roads, I'm just thinking, why does this road exist? Like, what used to be here? What kind of environmental existence did this piece of land have before we fucking threw asphalt on it, right? And I feel like human society, especially in the West, is just like, we just keep making these harebrained decisions, and then we just double down, we triple down. Like, we got the roads now, so of course we got to have cars. Like, why have trains? We have the roads. We built the roads. They're there. We got to use them, right? And I feel like that's the society that we live in. Is like, you know, we can live in a better society, but it's just like everyone's just okay with just everyone's a zombie. Everyone's on autopilot. They just don't think about things, or they don't have the time or the energy or the resources to think about things. And then the people that have that time and energy and they're thinking about things all day, every day, and how to fuck it up for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, a massive part of the issue is, you know, it's hard to get this sort of like movement, this uproar going when people are just trying to survive. Like, they're barely getting by. They have no time to be in tune with, like, let's uproot the entire system and change things, because they just don't. They're trying to take care of their kid. They're trying to feed their kid. They're trying to go to work. They're trying to, like, have a life, and it's hard to get people out of that zombie mode when they're in it, just trying to survive. Because honestly, they need, like, if there is going to be some sort of like massive movement to change things, those people need money to be able to survive in the meantime while there is that movement happening. And that goes to, you know, strike funds and that kind of thing. But that's why, you know, changing the system, changing things, changing our priorities seems so impossible, just because of because of how locked in this system is, and how things have been going for so long, and the people making money at the top continue making more and more money, while people at the bottom continue getting screwed and making less money. And you know, it's very depressing.
It is.
Which is why I turn to video games. I smoke weed. Actually, this is very random, but my best performing video of last month was the only video I did while I was high. And no one knew I was high, but I was super high when I did the video.
Oh, that's great. I'm high almost all the time.
Videos.
Yeah, no, for me, like, I'm high all the time. I you know, maybe some could say it's a problem, but like, I like experiencing the world without weed at this point just feel like, why bother? Like, I'll wait until like maybe in 2027 when things are a little better, if they're a little better, maybe then I'll try being sober for a couple weeks at a time. But until then, I'm just not, I'm not interested.
Yeah, it's hard to experience life raw, it's for fun. Sure.
But yeah, like, and that's the thing though, is that like, one of the things that I want to do with my YouTube show is I want to one of the things that, and people maybe, you know, I'm going to bring it up. I'm sorry to the audience, but, you know, I don't know how this, there's a study done in America, you might have heard me say this, that found that 95% of Americans don't eat enough fiber. Now, I'm sure you can extrapolate that to Canada, right? But the way I read that is, what is fiber? Fiber is vegetables. So 95% of Americans don't eat vegetables, right? So what are they eating if they're not eating vegetables, right? And so now this is a big thing for me, because again, like, you look at substances like mushrooms and they're illegal, no medical use whatsoever, yet high fructose corn syrup, everybody. Yeah, like, let's put that in everything, right? Like, when you look at like the way society is designed, I think food is a big thing. Like, for me, when I rethought my entire diet, that's what made me like kind of rethink my entire lifestyle, right? Because it's like, you know, I became a vegetarian. I like quit out like sugar, and like, you know, I quit all this stuff because I wanted to like, why am I eating this food? What does this food do for me? How does this affect my body? And the way I like to explain is like, like our bodies, like we're all worried about religion, right? Like I'm going off here, but just bear with me.
No,
like,
I hear you.
You know, we are God. Like our bodies are made of trillions of life forms. Like you have different like millions of different colonies of bacteria that are working together with our cells and our organs, and it's like, and we're all feeding it poison. Like we're like, you know, like when you're, you know, consuming sugar every day, that's poison. It's killing your body, right? And when you don't eat fiber, what it does is inside of your intestines, right, it makes it so bacteria dies, right? But you need that bacteria because it kills waste, right? And it kills like these bad products. It eats them, right? So when you don't eat a lot of fiber, what it does is it causes your body to get more poisons, more toxins, because the bacteria isn't there. They're all dead. They died a long time ago, right? And so like they're not able to like, you know, break down these poisons and these things. And I feel like that, like when you look at the, like, I don't know what it is in Canada. I'm sure it's probably similar, right? Because I know y'all have a fast food culture up there too. But we have 95% of Americans, their bodies are literally addicted to poison. That like it also locks people in these ways of thinking, because I remember when I got into like I read a lot of books, I watched like, and I took a lot, you know, did a lot of things on nutrition and stuff. When I really realized like, you know, and switch my diet, I feel better, right? I feel like I'm able to more like, and it also, when you switch your diet, it gives you that kind of feeling of like, you know, you're actually taking action in your life. Like, I feel like a lot of people's diets are based on what, you know, their parents fed them. Like, for me,
for sure. Yeah.
My diet was like fast food because I was raised by a single mother and she didn't have opportunity to cook. So for me, I didn't know how to cook because my mom never cooked because she would work all the time and just like, you know, get fast food most of the time. So like for me, I had to learn how to cook, right? That's something that also, when you look at studies, most Americans, and I'm sure Canadians are in the same instance, they don't know how to cook. Like, you know, in like the millennial Gen Z range, they don't know how to cook. Like it's just like, that's a problem, right? And so when such basic things, like how do you feed yourself? Like for most people, that's out of reach. You know, like how do you, like what do you put in your body? Like when capitalists are able to just inject whatever poison they want in your body, it slows your brain. I just covered this thing yesterday that said that like sugars and like simple carbohydrates and fried foods and stuff slow your brain down. It makes it so you cannot remember things as well. Like, and what is life? Life is your memory. You know, brain fog, right, is when you're not able to write things to memory that well, right? If you can't remember things, you're just going to be like, you know, waking up one moment, then, you know, it's like, you know, 6 years later, what did I do for the last 6 years? I don't remember, right? But like our brains are like constructed by the food that we eat to be like, be low, like we can't function. Right? Like, and so we're barely able to get from one job to the next, and we don't have any time to think about things, and we're just drones, we're zombies, etc.
This conversation's reminded me that I need to eat a little better. Like, I cut out beef, I cut out chicken. I'm a pescatarian now.
But there we go.
But I gotta say, like, there's like I don't think I can ever cut out seafood because I'm half Portuguese and I grew up on that shit. So like the idea of not eating shrimp again is not possible to me. Because like part of it for me as well is because this world is so depressing. I need things like tasty food that I grew up eating, like the nostalgia of it.
Sure, and that's a lot of people when you're raised on like just thinking. I can exactly recreate the taste of like a McDonald's chicken nugget in my brain because that's what my mom would feed me when I was young. Yeah. Just thinking I can recreate that taste. And that creates like, you know, and that's an addiction. Like for the rest of my life, like that giant corporation has constructed, like it's like imperialism. They've constructed a military base in my brain, right? That's like trying to like, you know, take over my mind. And that's like, that's why, and I'm glad that you said that like the conversation makes you want to eat better. Cause that's the kind of thing, like I know that, you know, Ronald McDonald's not watching my show, but like I can get like some regular people watching my show, and I want to like try to like create an atmosphere, especially like in left-wing media, that's like yes, we need to attack systems, but we should also do the self-improvement thing, because a lot of people, when you look at 95% of Americans, they don't eat vegetables. They go every day without vegetables. That's going to cause a lot of fucking problems, right?
Yeah.
So there's fertile ground to just help people help themselves. And when you if you can, I've had a lot of people tell me I've been eating better and it's made me more alert. I enjoy life a little bit more. I feel less physically ill. It pays dividends. You're in the hospital less. 88% of Americans have metabolic syndrome, which is basically pre-diabetes. So that metabolic syndrome turns into pre-diabetes, which turns into diabetes, I believe, type 2, right? 88% of Americans are on the cusp. They're on that track. But you can fix metabolic syndrome, typically in 2 months if you just eat well, right? So it's
it takes maybe from my experience, it took about 3 weeks for you to get used to it. Of course,
absolutely,
the first few days of cutting out certain foods like sugar, when I cut out soda, for example, you still of course want it for the first few weeks, but after that, it's about 3 weeks. Every time I've done this with something, once the 3 weeks are up, you're okay with it. You realize you don't need that thing anymore. You can go on, you can eat better, and definitely. And actually, that was part of the ayahuasca experience as well. Just to bring this full circle.
Absolutely.
Before going on that experience, they were told or you were told you had to have this certain diet. So you had to cut out. Basically, even spices were cut out. I was eating just rice and vegetables. I think meat was still okay. Chicken was okay, but there was no spices. There was no sugar. Sugar was cut out completely. So you kind of go into the experience having a very healthy, pure kind of body going into it. Just
and that helps metabolize the medicine as well.
I think that was part of the the intention of that is just kind of rid you of all of these toxins, so you go in there as pure as possible to have this pure experience. And doing that, just the diet alone, it took a couple weeks for me to get used to it, but I realized I could probably eat this way if I really wanted to. I mean, I still got to bring spices back.
Of course,
the fact that I was able to do it at all, I love food. I love food. So even the idea that I've cut out beef, I could do without beef, but chicken wings, I still miss chicken wings. To this day, I still miss chicken wings, and it's hard to find replacements. Some places do, good fake vegan or fake chicken.
I mean,
but
yeah,
even that
for
stuff,
sure.
Fake chicken is not that good for you either, so it's not really a great replacement. But knowing that you can just challenge yourself, I think this is one thing that I would tell people. If say you drink a lot of soda, just try not drinking it for a few weeks, and your life will improve. You will feel better. That sugar will be rid out of you don't have to deal with that shit anymore and how it impacts your life.
The average can of soda has 70 grams of sugar. It's insane. It's incredible. It's insane, right? If you were to measure out and in your hand 70 grams of sugar, right? It would be leaking through your fingers, right? That's a lot of fucking sugar, right? And some people drink 2, 3, 4 cans of soda a day, right? And a lot of people are stuck in these habits, especially around their work cycle, right? A lot of people when you go out to work somewhere. Now I have and I assume we're in the same spot on this one. I have a privileged lifestyle where I work from home, right? I don't go out and my only option for lunch is fast food and soda. And what's in the break room? A vending machine with soda, right? Everywhere around you at all times. And it's much harder to quit these things if it's all these signals are coming into your sensory whatever. Actually, all the time.
Airports too. When I was traveling to Peru, on this diet, you realize how much shit is sold. There's no healthy option in an airport. It's all just fast food crap.
It's garbage. It's pure garbage.
I forget what I think I had to eat a granola bar or something. No, actually, even that would have sugar in it. There was something I had to buy that was just the one thing I found that had none of this stuff in it, and it was impossible to find just healthy food in an airport. But yeah, if your environment is so much, if you're in an environment where you don't have those options, or you're again going back to your experience growing up, where there's no time, where it's just fast food is the easiest thing. It's right there. It's cheap enough that you can afford it. And yeah, it's hard to get out of those cycles without having the right environment around you and having the ability to eat healthy. That I think is the biggest issue. Is a lot of people just don't have the opportunity to eat as healthy as they should.
And that's why it's I whenever I try to talk about these things, I try to talk about them very frequently, right? And my audience gets very upset when I mention 95% every time. It's oh, here we go again. But I mean, if you can just cut bad, like if you can just like say no soda on Mondays and Tuesdays or something, you're still gonna like, it's still a challenge. You're still gonna make like progress. You're still gonna feel better, right? But like it really does pay dividends when you break out of those cycles, because then it's also like you're also spending less money on these addictions, right? Because soda doesn't really hydrate you. So it's not like, oh, well, I'm drinking water too. Food is one thing because you need food to live. And I would also argue people should fast more often. I try to fast like maybe once or twice a month. But like, you know, there's a lot of things like you can like save money on. And I'm not trying to be like a Republican bootstrapper. Whenever I make this argument, there's always going to be one jackass that's like, all right, Ted Cruz. Fuck you, fuck Ted Cruz. But anyway, like, but you can, like, yes, you can save money. You can make your body healthier. The idea that we need 3 meals a day, we made it up. Who made that up? Cereal companies in the 1950s and 60s. They made it up. You don't need breakfast in the morning before school or whatever. It's all make-believe. You don't need it, right? Like, and so this is something I learned in nutrition is that, like, you know, like intermittent fasting is something that's kind of taken on as well. But it's like also the idea
I do that actually.
Yeah, no, it's good for you.
I've only had water and coffee this morning. That's it.
See, there you go. Me too.
My first meal is usually around like 12:30, 1
p.m.
Yep,
I do it after my show every day. So I'm gonna eat in like an hour here. But yeah, and that's the thing is like you don't need to eat like why did they try to force people to think that you need 3 meals a day so that you could fill that meal slot with more fucking garbage, right? Like that. Oh, now we went from 2 meals a day to 3. That means more garbage. And then it's normalized after 2 generations. Oh yeah, we eat breakfast. For what? What the? Like, it's been shown, like, and again, like, a lot of people have these pre-existing conditions from being food addicts, right? But like, you know, where some people like need the sugar in the morning, otherwise their body literally breaks down. And that's the ultimate, like you're the ultimate product of capitalism at that point. And I'm not trying to be, I really don't want to be offensive when I say that. But like when your body is to the point where you need that external sugar to even live and to have any energy, I mean, that's good for the sugar companies, right? Like it's like having like, it's like being on pills, you know, it's like needing these medications, right?
A lot of this is just like a mental need though. Like if you actually cut it out, I'm sure some people will have like actual withdrawals, but for the most part,
yeah, I was just referring to like diabetics and stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, but I don't know. I feel like there are so many things that we can definitely do to help improve our lives just by cutting certain things out. And you know, I definitely have an issue with brain fog. I do eat vegetables, but I probably need to eat more.
Sure.
Like, but also like Alzheimer's runs in my family, so I'm freaking out about, you know, am I going to get Alzheimer's? So,
yeah,
you know,
yeah. I mean, there's been studies, just to go back into the mushrooms, there's been studies that say that microdosing psilocybin combined with a lion's mane mushroom, which is another kind of like, it's kind of, like, you know, that helps fight Alzheimer's and dementia. So I'm just saying, not very many studies on that necessarily, but I'm projecting information. You can do your own research. The information has been projected. It's in the atmosphere. And I claim no ownership. I don't believe in property rights. So that information is not mine. But yeah, and that's the other thing is like I always wonder how many of these diseases are really hereditary. Like, is heart disease, does it really run in the family? Or is it that everyone who's had heart disease in the family got it because they ate, like, nothing but steak every day? You know, like, I always wonder a lot about these things because, again, we're in this area where it's like, you know, medicine is so good. Like nutrition info, we're at this point in society where it's like the information and the studies and the resources and the ability to eat healthy is at an all-time high, right? Like 50 years ago, right? Like 100 years ago, there'd be food scarcity, right? Like you wouldn't be able to drink so much clean water every day, right? But we're at this point right now where like society, we're able to technically, right? Even though there's a lot of restrictions, we're at an all-time high for info. You can look up all of this. It just takes time, right? To like research and all that and to like find things. And a lot of grocery stores aren't as good as a lot of other ones, right? But, you know, like, but we're also in this point where it's like we're I'm 25, so like I'm like 3rd generation of like fast food addicts. When you factor in that fast food and processed food and frozen food and stuff took hold in the 1960s, right? Like, you know, so it's like my mom didn't really cook that much, you know, as a kid, and so now as a result, I had to teach myself how to cook entirely, that kind of thing, right? And so like a lot of people, like, you know, if their mom or like their dad or their grandma or their grandpa has these diseases that you might think run in the family, it's also maybe because, you know, they had a lot of processed food and fast food, and that just like was a thing that like now we have like very little information about like what my like great grandparents were eating and how their diets were, because diets and health are integral to like your life and your lifespan and how like things develop. Like there's this study that was done, and it could be correlation, but vegetarians have a 40% less likelihood of developing heart disease compared to meat eaters. Mm-hmm. And it might be because vegetarians are more conscious about everything that they put in their body, so it's not necessarily, but it's like also that's a big number. It's not 4%, it's 40, right? And so I don't know. We've
there's so many problems where I think nutrition should be like the number one thing that doctors tackle first. And
absolutely.
It tends not to be. It tends to be like look at this pill to fix your problem or fix your symptom, or address your symptom. But yeah,
but it can't be a pill that treats it too well, because then we can't make that much money off of you.
Yeah, or it can't be natural like a mushroom, because then we can't patent it and make a ton of money off it. So
exactly. But anyway, I don't know if you want to wrap up the convo.
Yeah, I gotta go.
You gotta go. Oh shit.
But it's been fun.
Yeah. I enjoy having these conversations. I think this is something that people in left media should be talking more about, like there's just the self-improvement thing, because when you look at self-improvement, a lot of that is right-wing, and a lot of people are stuck in these like really horrible spots in their life, and when they look for things right to like get them out of that, they'll find like Jordan Peterson. That's a big fucking problem, right? And so like I feel
sometimes we're yelled at for talking about like self-improvement and be like, no, it's the government or something.
And that's what I was saying. There's always that jackass that's going to be like, okay, Ted Cruz. And I'm like, how about, like, again, Ted Cruz isn't listening to my podcast. I got 50 like normal motherfuckers listening to my show. I can have much greater influence if I just like, and it is cathartic to just yell at the clouds all day. I mean, look at how well Jimmy Dore does, right? To just yell and yell about nothing all day. That is cathartic for sure. But it's like, also, I'm interested in solutions. If I can get 50 motherfuckers in my show and they can get like, let's say, like, not every one of them has a show, but, maybe you're going to go on your show tomorrow and you're going to go like, I had a great conversation with Andrea about self-improvement. And, it's all about that ripple effect, like we need to like start like helping people with, and also like in ways that people can integrate into their lives. A lot of people, again, don't have that time. And so if we can use our time, because I've got a lot of time, right? I'm sure you've got more time than the person that works 3 jobs or whatever, right? Yeah. We should use our time to like distill information so that we can help people in their everyday lives as much as possible.
Absolutely.
And that's something I try to focus on.
Yeah, I should do more of that as well. I mean, that gives me maybe I should do more of that, because this politics shit, this everyday news shit is getting
it's
very
brutal.
fucking.
It's brutal.
It's too much. Like, I need to find something else to talk about, because it's too much. Like, I need to actually feel like I'm helping people's lives. By the whole. This is the one thing that you should always ask yourself when watching anybody online is, why are they doing this? And like, the whole reason I do my show is because I want to educate people, right? I want people to have a better life. I want them to be more educated and inform them in some way. But a lot of people do this shit simply for a paycheck, or for themselves, or for their own ego. And when you begin to analyze certain podcasters, people like Jimmy Dore, but why they do what they do, it becomes clear they're not here to help people. They're not here to educate others. They're here for themselves. And I guess the first, or the one bit of advice is, begin cutting those people out. Like, if there are people that you're watching that aren't really doing it for the right reasons, then why the hell are you watching them? And there are a lot of dipshits out there doing this kind of work that are just there for themselves. And it's one thing. I mean,
it's profitable. Like, left-wing ideas are a lot more mainstream now, so it's like it's an industry to like be a left-wing news actor, or like.
But notice how most of them that try to make money tend to go to the right. Like,
well, yeah, because then they realize,
apart from Hassan, who can make money on the left, like the vast majority of people, they have to go right to find that audience. And also, the algorithm is, I think, a part of that. It benefits those who are more extreme, more right-wing. So yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, like that, I hope that, you do start doing more, like, self-improvement stuff. I hope everyone does, because this is my big thing. I've been trying to do this, for the last, one of the main things of my show is, like, yeah, I want to do news commentary. I want to be funny. I want to make people laugh. But I want every single person that ever stumbles on my show for any amount of time, I want them to come out like a better human, right? Like, I want like people to come into the Andrea machine and come out like a fucking cyborg, like they're like ready to tackle their life. I want people to feel like they like, you know, they can make these improvements, because again, I, you know, have been an unhealthy, like, dipshit motherfucker for most of my life. It's only the last, like, 2 or 3 years I've really been like, I should really work on that. And so, like, I feel like if I can do it, you know, and if I can distill that kind of, like, if I can provide that help that, like, you know, I had to do a lot of research to find out all this stuff. If I can distill that into, like, a 1-hour format in the morning, that's a win. And I want to help people help themselves, because, again, powerful people aren't listening to me. They're not going to listen to me. They're not going to ever know anything about what I'm saying. But 50 regular, like, motherfuckers out there, they're going to listen to me. And you have, like, maybe, I don't know how many, maybe 51 motherfuckers. I know a lot of people listen to your show, right? You know, and that's, like, you can have a lot more direct influence if you're really, like, tailoring your message to what your audience actually is, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Completely agree.
Anyway, thank you for coming on. If you want to come on again to talk about big brain ideas, I got a lot of them. Feel free to let me know.
I'm always open.
All
Absolutely.
right. And do you have anything you want to say to the audience at all?
I don't know. Just cut out soda.
There you go.
That's my one bit of advice.
There
cut
you
out
go.
Soda.
All right. All right. I'm gonna.
Thanks, Andrea.
Yep. I'm hanging up now. It's over.
All right. Bye.
It's done. Look at that. It's over. All right, folks. Good show. I'm gonna turn this fucking. Oh no. Oh god. Oh fuck. It's all falling apart. It's all falling apart. All right, it's back. What's up? All right, so how was that? Maxie. Let's get this dog over here. Maxie, Max. Maxie. Look at him. Max feels ignored. I love that dog. Look at him. Max, look at him. He's so beautiful. He's so beautiful. You're so beautiful. Look at this creature. This is an adorable fucking creature that exists. Like, look at, like, this is just, like, look at this. Like, look at him. Look, what a beautiful dog. Come on over here, Maxie. Come on. Come on. He doesn't like standing on the blanket. He's afraid of the blanket. Well, maybe I'll get on the Rational National show to talk about fiber. Will this be posted as a show? It's being posted right now. But yes, I will clip things out. We had a couple subjects of conversation, so I'll probably look for them individually. Fiber is anti-fascist. Absolutely. Look at this fucking dog. Oh my god, look at him. Oh. Oh. Puppy, puppy, puppy. You can't even see his face, but it's so, it's amazing. Look at him. Look at him. Maxie, I love you. Look at him. Oh my god. All right, so the show's basically over. It's just me petting the dog. So I'm going to go walk this beast, this fucking beast. I'm going to go, take him out. And thank you all for watching. And I will clip up the show and post that later today. And I hope you all enjoyed the conversation with the 1996 Republican nominee for president, David Doel. So, thank you all. And that's all I got. That's it. It's over. It's done. It's done. It's fucking done.
That isn't what it meant.
Well, what did it mean then? Explain.
It meant that it's indicative of low-resolution thinking.
Seriously, hot sauce. I've been eating a lot of hot sauce, a lot of raw peppers and hot sauce.
forced the vote. Sure, it was a failure.
Early in the morning, they went to the table with the black robe, the black shield, and they pulled out the vote.
It's not that they don't want to help. They don't know quite what to do. Play the radio. Make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night. The phone. Make sure the kids hear words.
$7 million for reef fish management, $25 million to combat Asian carp, $2.5 million to count the number of amberjack fish in the Gulf of Mexico.
The reason the market is doing what it's doing is people are sitting at home getting the checks from the government, okay, and this fair share is a bullshit concept. It's just a way of attacking wealthy people, and, you know,
Dumb people, liberal people can...
I eat extra sharp. That's what I eat. I admit to always improving.